reason always puts everything in little boxes, tries to sort out everything in little boxes, tries to judge and classify people, and this is really silly and very unfair, and it is incorrect thing to do. Heart, which is the human spirit, must always be given priority over any sort of reasoning, because if we know with our heart that something is wrong to do, then we must not allow our reasoning to convince us otherwise. We must not allow our thinking process to act in a way that is contrary to what our heart is telling us that is correct. It is a very well-known theorem in science called Gödel's theorem, which is a mathematical construct that has proven that there will always be more unknowns than knowns. In other words, there will be more things that cannot be proven than things that can be proven. In fact, most of the things that we already have proven are the majority of things that can possibly be proven. The vast majority of the information and discoveries that remain to be known will never be provable. The vast majority of discoveries will not be provable empirically or even mathematically. This is Gödel's theorem. Therefore, we must give priority to the heart over the thinking process, so that we learn to put that which our spirit is telling us before that which our reasoning process is telling us. In many cases, the least we know, the happier we are. This reminds me of a quote of Jesus. He speaks of giving some information to the Pharisees, a warning of the things that they should know, to make them aware of the things that they should do and they should know. And then he tells them that now that you know, you can sin, you can make mistakes, but before you couldn't make such mistakes because you didn't know. So knowledge is a double-edged sword. The more we know, the more we are compromised, because the more responsibility we have, and the bigger is our duty. The more we reason, the more we learn, the more compromised we become, the bigger our duty towards everything else, a duty to comply with that which we know. If we know that something is wrong to do, and we do it, then we sin. But if we didn't know that it was wrong to do it, and we do it, we wouldn't sin. Just like the animals, they can eat each other ruthlessly, and they are not committing a sin because they don't know what they're doing. Like Jesus said in the cross, "Forgive them, Father, because they do not know what they are doing." Do we know what we are doing? Only our heart can tell us. Only the human spirit can tell us what is correct and what is incorrect. Reasoning can never tell us. On the contrary, reason can only try to conceal the truth and divert you from doing that which is correct. We are nowadays very much addicted to reasoning. We have placed the focus of our attention from the heart into our brains. We must put it back. We must put it back down from the brain. Our focus of attention has to go back down into the heart, where it used to be, in the Garden of Eden. The apple is a symbol of the displacement of the focus of attention of man from the heart to the brain. We must vomit the apple, which means we must put the focus of attention back into our heart completely. When we do so, we will stop being like waves in the sea. We will stop being unstable. We will stop doubting. We will stop believing in an external physical reality. Instead, our faith will switch from believing in an external physical reality to believing in the single one mind that is all possible reality, the infinite higher self that is who we really are, rather than this temporary piece of flesh. The devil, from his fortress that he erected in our mind, continues to use the weapon of reason to displace and to divert the focus of attention from our heart towards himself. Our heart likes to look at the future, to try and navigate our experience into parallel universes where only good events and good feelings dwell, like Joseph in the Old Testament. He kept dreaming, daydreaming. He kept using his imagination through his heart on a daily basis, pasting into his experience that which he wanted to experience instead, until it became true, until he managed to navigate into that parallel universe where the events that he wanted were taking already place. And these events were the fact that he would be part of the royalty in Egypt, and that he would meet his brothers again and forgive them for what they did to him. That is something he had daydreamed and night dreamed during all his life until it came to pass. These are the ways that we are able to navigate into the universe where we want to be, using our imagination, using our daydreaming. This is the only possible technique. Today, many so-called spiritual people promote the living in the now, living in the here and now. I believe that to be an error promoted by the reasoning mind, by the devil. Instead, the Bible insists that we must not live in the present moment, but we must live in our fantasies so that they will come to pass. Children live in their fantasies constantly. They live in their own imaginary world. This is where we need to live. This is why Jesus said that children are closer to the kingdom of heaven, because they are imagining the reality. That reality is the reality where they are able to navigate to individually. So the universe, the multiverse, places these dreams and these visions in our hearts, in our spirit, in our single mind, so that they are like little seeds that we must keep growing and growing in our hearts until they come to pass, until they become real, until they become the new universe for us, until we are able to navigate to those places where these visions are already taking place. On the other hand, the devil is doing his best to try to destroy these little seeds, to try to drive us away from our dreams, so that we never navigate to those beautiful universes, and instead we navigate into the lower and lower quality universes, in the purgatories, like the current planet Earth in which I am living. So the devil, from his fortress in the mind, he crushes all these little seeds that contain the dreams that will be our ticket to a better universe, to the kingdom of heaven. And the way he does this is with doubts, with hesitations, with incredulities, with lack of faith, with reasoning that destroys any possible faith in the truth. Even today, it amazes me, more than 100 years after the discoveries by Einstein on the theory of relativity, his amazing discovery that light and truth are synonyms. Still, the vast majority of the people, including many scientists, they still do not know this. The reason they don't know it is because the devil inside their minds, using the technique and the tool of reasoning, using the technique and the tool of hesitation and doubt, keeps aborting and crushing the seeds that infinity keeps planting in their hearts, so that they can never see the truth. And if they see the truth for a split second, it will be instantly crushed by some clever reasoning. So we need to follow our visions, the good visions. We must follow our dreams. That is why Jesus said, if you truly believe that which you wish will come true, it will be made real for you. It will come to pass. It will be done for you. Even if you say to that mountain, go and cast yourself unto the sea, it will be done for you. Now this may seem absolutely impossible, but the way it is done is not by the mountain actually casting itself unto the sea, but by the person who is having this vision, who is having this desire of moving the mountain, navigate like in a dream into that reality that pre-exists, in which the mountain is already into the sea. So he will experience the mountain casting itself into the sea, but it's not that the mountain is casting itself into the sea, it's that he has changed, he has leaped into a different parallel universe in which the mountain is already in the sea. This is how it works. So keep planting seeds, keep planting your visions in your heart, like Joseph did. This reminds me of the story in the Bible where it was Peter. He was in the boat with the other apostles, and he saw Jesus walking on the waters of the lake. And he got off the boat. Peter tried to also walk on the waters of the lake, but feeling the strong winds, Peter suddenly became scared, started to hesitate on his ability to walk over the sea. And he started sinking. And Jesus approached him and said to him, "Man of little faith, why did you hesitate?" And as soon as both Jesus and Peter, climbed back into the boat, the wind calmed itself. So you can see in this story the role of the wind is the role of the devil. The devil blows the wind to make us hesitate, to make us lose our faith, so that we sink. But the moment there is no need for hesitation, because they climb back into the boat, the wind stopped. The devil only blows his wind when we are in a position of hesitation, when we can be placed in danger, so that we become fearful and we lose our faith, so that we sink. In this story, the boat symbolizes the reasoning process, symbolizes Plato's cave. We need to get out of it. We need to exit the cave. We need to exit the reasoning process. We need to exit the boat. Never take decisions based on your thoughts or in your feelings if they don't come from the heart. always check first with the spirit that dwells in your heart, which is the spirit of the Father. The spirit of infinity lives within you. He can do the works for you. He can do the miracles, as long as you don't hesitate. As long as you get out of the boat, like Peter did, climb out of the boat, climb out of Plato's cave, climb out of reason, climb out of duality, into infinity, into oneness, into the single mind that contains everything as one. So look inside your heart, empty your head, ignore the little voice in your head that keeps screaming negative emotions and negative thoughts to you. Just ignore it. Instead, place the focus of your attention back down into your heart. And as you do so, that little voice in your head and that negative emotions that brings with it, it will start to dim down as you start to brighten up the focus of your attention down back to your heart. As one dims down, the other brightens up, because the focus of your attention is one single focus. You cannot have it in two places at the same time with the same intensity. You can only be 100% focused in one thing at a time. So the more you shift back the focus of your attention where it belongs, in your heart, in the house of infinity within you, the more the focus of your attention will be leaving your thinking process. So look into your heart, look there, see what there is, and then do it. Don't hesitate, just do it. Even if your thoughts are saying, no, don't do it because that's silly. How can you believe that? That's nonsense. That doesn't make sense. Just ignore that thinking process. It's like an addiction to thinking, like the one who is addicted to smoking weed or injecting heroin. We are addicted to thinking and to believing and to focus on our thinking process. Ignore it completely because it comes from the devil. He wants you to doubt, and he wants you never to reach the universes that you deserve. He wants to keep you down in his kingdoms, in his purgatories, like this current planet Earth. We want to raise our experience up so that we can dwell in the new earth that the Bible promises. The new earth is a parallel universe. It's a parallel earth where only good things can happen, where the devil no longer speaks to our ears. So it is your choice. Do you prefer to believe God or do you prefer to believe the devil? If you choose to believe God, if you choose to believe the truth, if you choose to believe that which dwells within the light, if you choose to observe your experience from the frame of reference of light to the promised land, it will navigate you to the right parallel universe. And you will live in peace, because peace is the fruit of the spirit, is the fruit of the heart. If you water your heart, if you place your attention in your heart, it will eventually yield the fruit. And this fruit is your peace and your joy. And this reminds me of Matthew 6:25, when Jesus says, do not worry about your life. Do not worry what you will eat, what you will drink. Do not worry for your body. Do not worry what will you dress, because life is more than food and body is more than clothes. What Jesus is saying is that because everything is already predetermined, because all possible realities already pre-exist at the same time, and we have no free will other than the ability through faith to navigate ourselves to a higher level universe. Apart from that, we have no free will. So what he's saying is it is pointless to worry, because worry comes from reason. Reason is the devil telling us you must worry, because if you do not worry, you may not eat tomorrow, you will be lacking food, or is telling us, look, you have to live your life and put your interest before the interest of other people, because this life is so short, and you die forever, because all you are is the body. That's what the devil wants us to believe. You are only your body, and when the body no longer works, you are dead, you disappear. So therefore the devil reasons, put your interest before the interest of other people, because you have to live your life to the highest possible level of pleasure and luxury. You must live the best possible life, because it's the only life that you're going to have. That's what the devil wants us to believe. So consequently, the devil tells us you must worry, because tomorrow you need to eat, tomorrow you need to drink, you need to wear beautiful clothes, you have to worry for the tomorrow. But Jesus, instead, from the heart, not from the thinking process, from the heart, is telling us quite the opposite thing. He's telling us, look, everything is predetermined. When your body dies, you don't have to worry, because you already existed before you were born within the body. You are not the body. You have existed for all the eternity, and you will continue to exist for all the eternity, because that who you really are, your true higher self, is infinity itself. You are one with everything else. There is therefore no death. And if you hunger, and if you are thirsty, the universe will provide for you, because you are part of the universe. And if the universe lets you die, it's only the body that will let you die. It's not yourself, because you are not the body. So even if you die of hunger, you are not really dying. So do not worry. Live in peace. Have faith. Look at the birds in the sky. Infinity is feeding them. They don't grow the crops. They don't have storage. They don't have shops and places and freezers to keep the food for the winter. Infinity takes care of them. And if they die, they don't die, because they are never the body. The body is only a temporary form, like the waves in the sea. Animals, especially, for instance, birds, they never know if they are going to have food the next day. They live day by day. But they never worried. They are never stressed. They live in the day by day. They live in a more organic and natural way than humans do. Animals are closer to truth than we are. They do not hesitate, they do not stress, they do not worry for tomorrow. And they survive as a species. And if they don't, it doesn't matter, because you're not the body. So worrying and doubting serve no purpose other than make us suffer. And even look at the flowers in the fields. They do not work, but they are dressed by infinity in the most beautiful way. And yes, they are destroyed. Today the flower is beautiful, tomorrow is thrown into the oven of fire. Likewise, we as human bodies will be thrown into the oven of fire tomorrow as well. But it will be only the lower self that is burnt. It will be only the body, the human body, that will be destroyed and recycled, not who we truly really are. Matthew 6:32, Jesus said, the Gentiles are always worrying and anxiously seeking all material things that will bring them pleasure. But not you. You must first seek the kingdom and the justice of the kingdom. And when you do so, the rest of the things will be given to you. So it's not about seeking material possessions. It's about seeking the justice of the kingdom. The kingdom means infinity, it means oneness. It's the single mind, it's believing that everything is just mind, it's not material. So it's foolish. If you know that you are living in an experience that is like a dream, that is not really physical, but it's made of just imagination, it's really foolish to try to acquire imaginary objects temporarily, to seek temporary pleasure. Instead, we must awaken to the realization that it is a mind-based reality, and when we do so, then we can materialize whatever things we want. We can completely swap or replace our current reality by the one of our choice. We become gods of our own experience rather than slaves of the one experience that is given to us by the devil. If we just conform ourselves with the experience that is given to us, we will always be stuck with a purgatory or even a hellish experience. If we become slaves of matter, if we place the focus of attention on the thinking process, in the reasoning process, we will be stuck in trying to worry ourselves for the tomorrow and for maintaining a set of material things around us that will give us pleasure. Instead, if we focus our attention in the heart, in the spirit, and we have faith that everything is mind, then we are able to completely replace this reality and navigate ourselves into a parallel universe that is a higher heaven, where only good events happen, and where we are able to choose the events that will happen, rather than be slaves of the events that the devil wants to happen. And when I'm talking about the devil, or when I'm talking about God, I'm not talking about external entities independent from us. The devil and God and myself and everybody else are a single unity. We are one in infinity, one within oneness. We are a single mind, but within this single unity, it must contain everything that can possibly happen because it's infinite. There has to be evil, and there has to be good, and there has to be everything in between. And that which is evil we call the devil, and that which is good we call heaven, and that which is a mix we call the purgatory. But everything is within one unity. But that unity has different levels, and we must aim to the higher levels and not conform ourselves with the lower levels in which we currently are. Our only worry has to be to keep up our visions, our fantasies, because it's through our visions, our imagination, our fantasies, as we paste them into this reality that we dislike. This is the mechanism, this is the way we are able to sail within our own slice of the universe. We are able to sail into a parallel universe of our own choice. But this is not really a worry. To have visions must be visions of pleasure, must be visions of joy and happiness and peace. When we have these visions, they will come to pass if we have them without hesitation and we keep them with faith. Worry not for tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself. Life is to be lived. Life is to be enjoyed. But the devil wants to steal our life. We must not allow them to do so. We must place every thought in captivity to the obeisance of infinity, to the obeisance of Christ. This means we must change the focus of attention from our thinking process into the spirit, which is in the heart, which is the temple of infinity within us. A man deeply asleep within this dream is a man full of himself, while a man that is becoming lucid is a man that is humble, because he is full of God within. His heart is full of the Father. A man that is full of himself is always worrying, is always thinking and reasoning. While a man that is humble because he's full of God, he's always having visions and making these visions come true. Not through effort, not through working hard, not through accumulating wealth and enslaving people or himself, but only by making visions in his imagination until they come to pass. In Chronicles 20:12, O God, our Lord, we are powerless before this great multitude that comes against us, but our eyes are turned towards you. And by multitude here means the thoughts and all the negative emotions that the devil keeps throwing at us. It's a multitude of constant negative thoughts and emotions. We are powerless before this multitude of negative feelings and thoughts. We know not what to do, but our eyes are turned towards you. And God replied, Fear not before this multitude, because the battle is not yours, but is mine. You do not need to fight this battle, just remain still. So God is saying, you do not need to fight your negative thoughts and your negative emotions. All you need to do is change the focus of attention back unto me. Just shift the eyes of your attention from the brain back into the heart. Turn your eyes towards God. This is not your war. This is God's war. It's God that is going to fight the devil. We cannot fight the devil. We have no chance against the devil. But all we can do is change our attention, ignore the devil and look at God. And God will then take care of the devil. Then we will stop hearing the negative thoughts. We will stop feeling the negative emotions, because our attention can only be in one place fully at a time. And if our attention is fully on God, within our hearts, and I mean the real physical heart, if you feel it, you focus your attention in your physical heart, you will feel opening, because normally the heart is hard like a rock, is hardened, because our focus of attention is in the reasoning process. Instead, when you focus your attention back into the heart will start opening like a flower. And as it opens, you will be more and more within God, and less within the devil, less and less within the negative. You will no longer hear. You will not be fighting. It's not about fighting the devil. It's about ignoring him. God will take care of him. And Jesus says in Matthew 11:29, My peace I give you. My peace manifests itself in the midst of the storm, and not in the absence of the storm. So it's not about fighting or try to stop the negative emotions and the negative feelings. It is instead about jumping like Peter out of the boat, out of Plato's cave, out of the thinking process, into the storm. And it is within the storm, raging outside the boat, that the peace is given. We need to shift the focus of attention from our thinking process, from Plato's cave, out of the boat, back outside, into the heart, which is where the storm is raging. And there, where the storm is raging, we will know the peace, counterintuitively, because the devil is telling us, you are crazy to get out of the boat, you must remain inside the boat. The storm is outside the boat. Remain in the boat, where I can continue to torture you with the negative thoughts and emotions. So it seems to be reasonable, and it's reasonable, but we have to stop reasoning. It seems stupid to jump out of the boat and into the storm. It seems stupid to try to walk on top of the waters. But if you have faith, these waters are the living waters that dwell within your heart. That's where the storm is. But once you get to the storm, Jesus comes and tells you, have faith and you will not sink. And then the storm disappears. Reason screams to us, duality is true. But the heart screams to us, oneness is true. So it's not about fighting our worries or trying not to have anything to worry about. There will always be things to worry. If we are hoping not to have anything to worry about before we stop worrying, then we will never be not worrying. We will always be worried because there will always be things to worry about. There will always be circumstances in this life thrown at us that deserve, according to the devil, deserve to worry about. So the trick is not to wait for the moment when there is nothing to worry about. It's not to wait until the moment when there are no negative circumstances, because there will always be something. The trick instead is to let the circumstances be whatever it is, and instead shift the focus of our attention from the thinking process, from the brain, into the heart, into the center of the storm, so that we can be in peace, enjoying the peace of God in the middle of the storm. We have to jump out of the boat. We have to jump out of the brain. We have to go in the middle of the storm. We have to try to walk on the waters. And there, God will take our hands and will say, you will not sink. Because you had faith, Peter. You had faith. You climb out of the boat. As long as you have faith, you're not going to sink. Don't worry about the storm. In Hebrew 13:5, God says, I will never leave you alone. Be certain that this is how it is. So there is no need to place our attention on making money, on seeking luxury and the certainty of a safe future, because it is within the storm that we will find the true peace. That is where, within the face of climbing out of safety, of climbing out apparent safety, because what it seems to be safety is actually counterintuitively is the opposite. It's a house of horror. Thinking and feeling mind is a torture chamber where the devil, promising us safety, a beautiful future, instead keeps us inside in order to torture us on a daily basis with negative thoughts and negative emotions. So it is counterintuitive. The reasoning process, it doesn't come from us, it comes from the devil. What we can do is ignore it, ignore it, and instead focus in the eye of the storm, in the center of the heart, counterintuitively.